So W sit is when your child naturally sits down with their bum flat on the floor, but with their knees in front of them, knees bent, toes out to the side and flailed outwards. They might either sit with their knees together or with their knees slightly apart. In this position, what they've done is they've lowered their center of gravity, making them more stable on the ground. But because of the positions of the hips, they're going to lack any rotational movement, and it's going to limit their ability to cross the midline and to use a full range of motion. So although it's not bad if your child sits in this position every now and again, that's not bad. But if this is becoming the preferred position, or this position that your child is reliant on when seated, then an intervention might be necessary. So what I always say is that prevention is better than cure. So if you are seeing that your child is sitting in the W position often, then you might want to encourage them to try alternative seating positions. Again, it's not about reprimanding your child or telling them off. It's about encouraging them to try other seating positions and being consistent about it, so that over time they will develop the muscles to support them in different positions. So the first position I would encourage you to get your child to sit in would be flat on their bum with their legs straight out in front of them. So you might want them to lean up against a wall or a couch or something like that, just to help support the spine. But in this position, the child is relying on their own core stability to align themselves and to hold themselves upright. At the same time, by extending the legs, you've got a full extension in the hamstring muscles, which is going to allow the hamstring muscles to become more flexible. Often when seated in that W sit position, it's going to cause shortening of the hamstring muscles, which is in turn going to affect the development and the flexibility in the hips and the lower back. So encouraging them to sit with straight legs would be one of the preferred positions. Alternatively, and what is often very common with young children, is to get them to sit with their legs crossed. So just cross your legs, you know. This is a very common position for children to sit in, and it's one of the most natural positions to put your hips in. In this way, the hips aren't taking any unnecessary strain, and with it, it fully allows any form of rotational movements of the trunk. So in this position, Jordan is more able to stretch across, reach across, and move the upper body, and is relying on her own core support. Another position we can encourage our children to sit in is butterfly sit position. So in this position, feet together, knees out to the side, and again, this just allows a little bit of flexibility into the hips, allows them to stretch out a little bit, and is not putting on any undue pressure onto them. We can also get our child to sit on their knees. So if you can jump up like me. So we can also get our children to sit on their knees. Knee sitting can either be done on the heels or with the bum slightly down between the feet, or alternatively with a more upright kneeling position. When we're sitting in the kneeling position, we are following the natural alignment of the muscles and the joints in our legs. So by having the feet folded underneath us, we're not putting any undue pressure onto the knee joint. The knees are not being pushed out to the side. The ankles are also in their natural alignment, so it's much safer on the legs. In this position as well, children have complete freedom to move. They can bring themselves forward from side to side, etc., and it's a more natural position. Another position we can get the children to sit in is then onto one side. It's just to sit on one side. Again, this allows for more movement. And when our children are sitting in this position, just be aware that we do want to encourage them to sit onto both sides. So if they've been sitting on their left hip for a long time, encourage them to shift over to their right once in a while, just to create the balance in the hip joint. This is one of the most natural and comfortable positions for children to sit in, and puts their hips into a natural position where there's no undue strain onto the hips. We can also include a wobble cushion into it. So I'm going to get Jordan to sit on the wobble cushion. This is something you could do at home while your children are engaged in active play or even watching TV or drawing a picture. Encourage them to sit on an uneven surface, because in this way, as they shift their weight around, they're going to have to rely on their balance and their core muscles to keep them upright and stable.